Hopefully everyone enjoyed your lunch. I think get started soon. Take a roll call with Renee. Oh, sorry.
Present.
Thank you, Renee. Trevor.
Present.
Thank you, KK.
Present.
Thank you, Jake.
Present.
Thank you, Maria.
Present.
Thank you. And going to Indira.
Present.
Thank you, Jesse.
Present.
Thank you, Jose.
Present.
Thank you, Nicole.
Present.
Thank you. And I'm here. And Sarah, if you want to just confirm that the petitioner is on and don't see him actually.
Yeah, he was on earlier. It could be that maybe he's still coming back from break.
I see him in there as an attendee.
Oh, there he is. All right. And then, Mr. Ibarra, can I get a quick mic check from you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Just coming back from lunch.
No worries.
Fortunately, we can't see you though, Mr. Barra. So if you can make sure you turn on your video.
There should be a button right next to your microphone icon that says start video. When you click that, that'll turn on your camera.
I did that. It doesn't start it on here. Let me do it on my phone better.
Okay.
I'm sure our moderator can tell you, but if you have two devices connected, you should disconnect one device because it's going to echo.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off the laptop right
Okay.
now.
Thank you.
Oh, there it goes.
All right, I muted you temporarily. If I could have you log out of that second login, which was probably your phone. That way we don't get that echo. So if you could try unmuting yourself again, and I just want to double check that we don't have that echo.
Okay, yeah, I turned it off already.
Okay, great.
Perfect. All right, Judge Wall.
All right. Good afternoon. Is it Mr. Ibarra or Dr. Ibarra?
Mr. Ibarra.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Ibarra.
Good
I'm
afternoon.
going to take us on the record, and my understanding is that you're representing yourself today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a more detailed set of instructions once we start officially being on the record.
Okay.
All right, we are on the record today before the Board of Pharmacy, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California. The board members have polled and identified themselves. A quorum of the board is present. My name is Jessica Wall. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to preside over this matter. We are here for the matter of the petition for reinstatement of licensure filed by Freddie Barra, agency case number 5127. OAH case number 2023090098. May I please have the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, good afternoon. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I am appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you,
Okay.
Ms. Jarvis. And Mr. Ibarra, I see you're present and self-represented. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. So I want to remind everyone this hearing is being electronically recorded. It's important that we speak slowly, loudly, and clearly. It's also important that we only speak one at a time. So Mr. Ibarra, because you're representing yourself, I'm going to give you some instructions. In
Okay.
this proceeding, the board is concerned with hearing about any rehabilitation you have undergone since your license was disciplined. Ms. Jarvis will go first, presenting the petition package, and a background of this matter. After that, you'll have the opportunity to make your presentation. I want to remind you that the board has had the benefit of reading your petition package, and you do not have to repeat anything in that package. You will be subject to questioning both by Ms. Jarvis and by the board members. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the near future. Do you have any questions about that, Mr. Ibarra?
No.
Thank you very much. So I will go to Ms. Jarvis.
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter arose via an accusation filed on September 14th, 2014 against petitioner's pharmacy technician license. This is a criminal convictions case. Petitioner was first licensed on September 19th, 2002. Then in 2005, petitioner was convicted of DUI with a 0.14% blood alcohol content after running a red light and exceeding the speed limit. Petitioner was also convicted of child endangerment because his 3-year-old child was in the vehicle along with the child's mother. Then in 2013, petitioner was convicted of illegal possession of a controlled substance, cocaine, after being arrested during what essentially sounds like a bar fight in the accusation. I did not read the underlying criminal conviction records. In aggravation, petitioner was also convicted of vandalism, defacing the property of another in 1998, and then fighting or disturbing the peace also in 1998. After the accusation was filed, petitioner did not file a notice of defense, and therefore, effective February 6th, 2015, petitioner's license was revoked by default. $3,387.50 were the costs ordered and set forth in the default. Now, with his petition, petitioner provided the following documents. First, continuing education is not required for technicians, and none was submitted. Petitioner submitted a personal statement wherein he states that he was going down the wrong path while going through a marital separation and ultimately divorced from his ex-wife. Petitioner submitted 5 letters of recommendation, all of which were verified. Several of these letters also mention that petitioner was mentally and emotionally struggling while going through these troubles. 4 of the letters are from pharmacists in charge or other pharmacists who supervise petitioner's work, and they all state that his work was always excellent, and even though he was unable to continue working as a technician after losing his license, he was able to continue working as a clerk, and then another comment that his knowledge and abilities are and have always been excellent. At this time, I'd like to mark and move the documents previously identified as Exhibit 1, which is the notice of hearing and the agreement for electronic recording.
Mr. Ibarra, do you have any objection to that?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 will be admitted for jurisdictional purposes.
Thank you. And then Exhibit 2 is the petition packet consisting of the petition, the other documents just identified, a memorandum to the board from board staff, and the underlying default decision and order. And I ask that that be marked and moved as Exhibit 2 for all purposes.
Mr. Ibarra, do you have any objection to that?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then this concludes the presentation of this matter, and I will cede the floor to petitioner.
All right, Mr. Ibarra, before you do your presentation, I need to swear you in. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. So as I mentioned before, the board has had the benefit of reading your petition packet. You do not have to repeat things within that. You want to highlight things within the packet that you want the board to know about and explain why you believe your petition should be granted. With that, you may begin.
Sure. Yeah. After I have got convicted from my last conviction, I did have to go to NA classes, AA classes for a whole year, which I did. I completed, and also I had to go into substance abuse classes for a whole year, which I completed. I did community service on it, which I also completed, and had to pay fines on it, which everything was completed.
Is there anything else you'd like to add to your testimony, Mr. Ibarra, before I allow Ms. Jarvis to question you?
No.
Okay, so we'll go straight to Ms. Jarvis for her questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mr. Ibarra, you mentioned your last conviction. That's the 2013 conviction?
Correct.
And is that the last time you've been involved with the criminal justice system?
Correct.
Now you mentioned, and as said earlier, several of your letters mentioned throughout your petition packet that one of the sort of stressors in your life that led to all of this was your marital troubles or relationship troubles at least.
Correct.
What have you put into place to ensure that any, similar emotional challenges in the future wouldn't lead to this same conduct?
Well, I moved myself away from the area, well, the environment that was leading me to that. So I have no, I don't have any contact with any of the people that I got in trouble with anymore. I just, what I'm actually doing is just, working hard and just, just taking care of my son because I am a single father. He's 22 now, but during the time I was a single father going through all this.
Now, I also saw a comment in your personal statement stating that you had been employed as a pharmacy clerk for 3 different pharmacies since your license was revoked in 2015, and that the only reason for 3 different pharmacies and not just one is because they either closed or were burnt down. Can you explain that comment a little?
Yeah, on the first one where I worked from, I believe 2003 to 2000, what was it, 17, that pharmacy closed. And then I went to, like, within months, I got hired from another pharmacy that was opening nearby. And I worked there from 2017 to last year. And the only reason why, because the pharmacy where I was working at got burned during the time where COVID had just started. And it's in a plaza, so that pharmacy burned down. And I had to go move to a different pharmacy, their sister pharmacy in Los Angeles, which was way further from where I lived at. But I did that for almost a year, I believe. And then I got another job closer to where I was at before, which is in the city of Huntington Park also. And I worked there from last year to this year.
Okay, and is that the Slauson Community Pharmacy?
That's the one that burned down, Slauson Community Pharmacy.
Okay, and pharmacist Seko, Seko, wrote one of your recommendation letters?
Yes.
Okay. And I guess what I was kind of getting at in regards to being burned down is this is California.
Right.
We catch on fire quite a lot. Was this a wildfire or was this a sort of a structure fire?
It was a structure fire. Like I mentioned, the pharmacy was inside of a plaza, and there was a accident in one of the other. There's a little restaurant that was like right next to us. That's the fire started, which burned the whole side of the building down.
Okay. Now, going to your letters of recommendation, I noticed that you had several letters, or several of your letters were written by the same person. So you have like 2 letters from pharmacist Seko, and then you had 2 letters also, I think, from pharmacist Annie Zhang, Zhang.
Yes.
Why did you have 2 letters from these individuals?
The person I was corresponding with, Pamela Kemp, she said that the letter was too old, so they wanted to update a new letter. So that's why I got those 2 letters updated.
Okay, and I see you had 1 letter from pharmacist Zhang was written in 2020 and then an updated in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And then for pharmacist Seko, similarly, it was 2020 and then 2023.
Correct.
Now, I note that in pharmacist Seko's letter as well, she mentions that when the pharmacy was destroyed by fire, that you had lost a lot of your paperwork. Were you keeping your petition paperwork at the pharmacy?
Yeah, because I was going to mail it out the next day. I was just getting all the letters in. So when I had everything, that Saturday I was going to go into work and I was going to go take it to go mail it out, and that's when that fire happened.
Going back to 2015, when your license was revoked by default, why did you default instead of filing a notice of defense and proceeding through the administrative process?
I didn't see the letter until after a while. I believe I got in another notice later on saying that it was revoked. So I didn't see the initial one.
Do you know why you didn't see the initial one? Was your address of record updated with the board?
It was, but like I said, I was having marital trouble then. So I don't know. It must have gotten lost somewhere.
And at that time, were you still residing with your ex-wife?
I was.
If your license was to be reinstated after this process today, are you familiar with the board's probation terms?
Yes, I believe it's 3 years.
Referring more to the terms and conditions, like the conditions of probation that you would have to satisfy in order to satisfactorily finish probation.
No, I didn't look at that part.
Have you ever reviewed the disciplinary guidelines
I
that were
did.
promulgated by the board?
I did in the beginning. I just have to go back and refresh my memory of what I read.
Now, in the default, there is also a mention of costs. You may have heard me mention that during my presentation as well, of approximately $3,300. Would you be able to pay those costs if they were ordered?
I will have to do a payment plan, I guess, because at the moment I'm not working. I'm on disability from health conditions I had in the beginning of the year. So I'm barely going to start going back to work next month.
Next month, as in October?
October, right.
Okay. You mentioned going to NA as part of your criminal conviction requirements. Is that right?
Correct.
How long did you attend NA?
I did NA for a whole year.
And did you find it useful?
Yeah, it helped me a lot. I mean, also with the AA, which was a bigger factor in it. So that helped me out a lot. And then the substance abuse classes also for a whole year, which helped.
What did you find to be the most useful about either AA or NA?
AA was better for me.
How long did you attend AA?
For a whole year.
And then what did you find most useful in AA that has helped you throughout, the years since then?
Well, like I mentioned, just staying away from the environments that would lead me into doing cause me into getting back into trouble or anything like that. I stopped drinking. I don't do drugs. So I mean, it did help me out a lot.
When you say you stopped drinking, so do you still refrain from alcohol today, or was that
Correct.
just during that period?
No, I still refrain for it today.
And similar for any illegal or illicit drugs?
Yes.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. We're now going to go to the board members for their questions. And Mr. Ibarra, I just want to give you another reminder that you need to wait until the question is done before answering, because when we electronically record, we make a record afterwards, and we can't have a clear record if two people speak at once. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. And will that, Renee, any questions? No questions? Okay. Trevor?
Yeah, just a quick question. So you say you've gone to AA and NA. Do you identify as an alcoholic or an addict?
I do, yeah. Well, as an alcoholic, I wasn't doing drugs too often to consider myself an addict, because I rarely did it. But yeah, of an alcoholic, I was drinking more. So yeah, that I do identify as an alcoholic.
Okay. And so did you continue to go to AA meetings?
I don't. I just mostly go to like church, and just like I said, just stay away from the environment where those places of environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like
What have you?
I'm sorry, I don't go to bars or any type of places like that anymore.
Okay. Yeah, and since you have stopped drinking, what has been your most challenging experience with maintaining your sobriety, and how did you handle that?
It's been working out fine for me. I mean, the most challenging is just not being able to see acquaintances that I had, because a lot of them do still drink. So going around those type of environments probably would just want me to start drinking more. But I don't go to any functions in that way anymore.
Mm-hmm. And do you think by having a license to be a pharmacy technician, which would put you in greater proximity and access um, to drugs, opioids, the rest, how do you feel about that? Given your experience at the AANA, do you feel like having that proximity, you would want to uh, rejoin those, or how would you use what you learned from those programs as you navigate that proximity to substances?
Well, I've never taken any like pills or abused pills, so I mean I'm able to be around that environment. I don't. I mean I had surgery back in 2012, I believe, for my ACL, and they gave me Tylenol codeine and they made me vomit, and that's the last time I took it. So I can't even take Tylenol codeine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean I don't like taking pills at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, KK.
No questions.
Thank you, Jake.
Mr. Ibarra, what would be your sobriety date? So when was the last time you had a drink?
Um, the last time was, I believe, like 5 years ago.
That's all. No further questions.
Thank you, Jake. Maria.
Yes, Mr. Ybarra, are you familiar with the PTCB exam?
Yes.
Mhm. Is that something you've taken before, or would you be amenable if we were to require you to take that for licensure?
Yeah, I actually was looking into going, taking the test. Um, I believe right uh, when my license got taken away, I was going to go take it, but since it got revoked, I just didn't go. So I have been studying for it. So I bought a book on Amazon for it. So I have been studying for it.
Great, thank you.
All right.
No further questions.
Thank you, Maria. And going to Pasadena, Indira.
No questions.
Thank you, Indira. Jesse.
Hi, thank you. I just have a couple questions about your support system. So you mentioned that you've had to disconnect from a lot of the people who you were surrounded with when all of these incidents occur. So what does your community look like now? And do you feel like you have a good support system to help you stay on the right path moving forward?
I do. I have a big family, so I mostly go around them more. So I got a lot of brothers and sisters that I keep in contact with. So that keeps me away from my friends. I also like my ex coworkers will go out, have dinner or stuff like that. I keep in contact with them more, like more professional personnel is what I do instead of going around my old friends.
Thank you. And then the last question is just more about your coping mechanisms. So I know you mentioned you go to church. Are there any other coping mechanisms you have? And can you touch upon, I believe you also attended anger management. Is that correct?
Not anger management, sobriety, substance abuse classes.
Abuse. So what sort of other coping mechanisms do you have to deal with with stress and temptation in your life?
I go out for walks. I exercise mostly. So I keep myself busy. I do little hobbies here and there.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose?
No questions for me at this time.
Thank you, Jose. Nicole?
Yes. Hi, Mr. Ibarra. I just wanted to ask you, you've been working in pharmacies as a clerk. What is your motivation for getting your tech license back specifically?
I was offered a job as a technician, and it's they're willing to pay me really well. So that's why I really want to get it back, so I could be able to further my future in pharmaceutical career. Like that, I could start putting back into my 401k and start saving money for my retirement and stuff.
Great. Thank you so much. No further questions.
Thank you, Nicole. Mr. Ibarra, I just have a couple questions. So just, you said you're not working, right?
Correct.
Okay. Are you looking to get back to working soon, despite what happens today?
Yes, I'm on disability till next month.
Okay.
So I'm starting to look for, and I recently moved again, so I don't live in Whittier anymore. I moved to Menifee, which is a different community, and I'm trying to look for work out here now.
Okay. And are you looking for work in the pharmacy?
At the moment, I'm just trying to find anything I could get.
Okay. If we do grant your petition, most likely you'll be on probation, and it would, the duration is probably to be determined. With that, would you be okay serving those probation terms? It could be 3 years, it could be 5 years with certain restrictions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. No further questions for me, Your Honor.
Thank you to the board members and Mr. Ibarra. I'll check with Ms. Jarvis if she has any additional questions.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a follow-up. Mr. Ibarra, you mentioned that your sobriety date was about 5 years ago. So I have some clarification to request about that. Your last conviction was in 2013, and you went to AA and NA for about a year shortly after that conviction, so presumably around 2014 or 15. So were you still drinking while you went to AA and NA?
I didn't drink when I was going to NA, but I did start back afterwards. And then I stopped like 5 years ago again, which I completely stopped.
So would you say that when you started drinking again after going to AA and NA, that was something of a relapse? And then something else happened to make you stop? Or can you explain that a little more?
It was, I was still going through the divorce. So I was still living with my ex-wife, and we were still having problems. And that's how I coped myself from, just, I guess, staying away from like the actual problems that was happening at home. Is like to get away.
Okay, so what happened to make you then finally decide to stop drinking altogether?
I stopped communication with my ex-wife.
But the two of you still have a child in common, right? Even if he's an adult, so you may see her again. You may have to communicate with her again, particularly if he has children, and then you have grandchildren in common. So how will you cope with seeing her again, communicating with her again, if she was sort of the catalyst for your drinking?
It really wouldn't affect me anymore because she lives out of state now. So I have like zero communications with her right now. And she only speaks to my son. I don't ever talk to her anymore.
Well, and the question really is, what will you do if you do have to talk to her again? It could happen, right? You have a child in common. So how will you cope with that?
I would just just try to keep calm, and if anything, like any arguments start to arose, I would just walk away from the situation.
Okay, Your Honor, I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Thank you, Mr. Ibarra. I'll check. President O, do you want to see if the board have any additional?
Any other questions for any other members?
Okay, so Mr. Ibarra, this is the final part of your testimony. Any additional facts you want the board to know in considering your petition, now is the time to state them.
No, that's it, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm going to check with each of you if we're ready to submit. That means that the matter is done and it starts the deadline on writing the decision. So Ms. Jarvis, are we ready to submit?
We are. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Ibarra, are we ready to submit?
Yes.
Thank you very much. At this time, the record is closed and the matter is submitted for decision. We are off the record. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ibarra. You're free to leave the WebEx.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. We're ready to move on to the next petition. Sarah, if they're all ready. If not, we can take a quick break. I believe it's the DNet Pharmacy.
And it looks like we have Dr. Yes. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name online. And can I get a quick mic check?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. I was worried that
looks-
my video was not going to work.
Yep, it looks like your video is working as well. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right, Dr. Is it Denise? Could you pronounce your last name for me, please?
Yeah, Dr. Denise.
Denise, okay. Thank you very much. Are you representing the DNet Pharmacy today?
Correct, correct.
Okay, and I take it you're not an attorney?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to
Just
give you
dressed like one today.
I'm going to give you the same instructions I'll give anyone who's representing themselves without the assistance of an attorney. So I'm going to take us on the record. We are on the record before the Board of Pharmacy, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation for the DNet Pharmacy. We have all board members present. A quorum is present. My name is Jessica Wall. I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to preside over this matter. The case number is 6671 OAH, case number 2023090112. May I please have the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I am appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And we have Dr. Denise present representing the DNet Pharmacy. Good afternoon.
Hello.
All right.
Nice to meet
So
everyone.
good afternoon. I want to remind everyone this hearing is being electronically recorded, so it's very important we speak slowly, loudly, and clearly. It's also very important that we speak one at a time, having a brief pause between every question and answer. So Dr. Denise, as you're representing the pharmacy yourself and are not an attorney, I'm going to give you additional instructions. In this proceeding, the board is concerned with hearing about any rehabilitation since the pharmacy's license was disciplined. Ms. Jarvis will go first to present the petition package and provide a background. After that, you have the opportunity to make your presentation. A reminder that the board has had the benefit of reading your petition package, and you do not have to repeat anything in that package. You will be subject to questioning both by the board members and by Ms. Jarvis. After the hearing, the board will go into closed session to deliberate. You will not receive a decision today. It will be mailed in the future. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Thank you very much. We'll go to Ms. Jarvis.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Dr. Denise, you are the current, sorry, I do need to ask a question. You're the current pharmacist in charge?
Correct. As of
Okay.
October 2022.
Thank you. I apologize, Your Honor. That was a little out of order, but I was expecting Mr. DNet, the CEO, president / owner. So for when I'm reciting my the plan for today, when I refer to petitioner, I am referring to the owner, Mr. DNet, not the PIC, Dr. Denise, and I apologize for that. This matter arose via an accusation filed on May 30th, 2019 against petitioner's pharmacy license. Petitioner, the owner, is not licensed as a pharmacist. This case actually started much earlier, so if you can bear with me for one moment. In January of 1998, the owner of the DNet Pharmacy was convicted of unlawfully importing and causing the importation into the United States of merchandise contrary to law, to wit, approximately 4,993 dosage units of a substance containing the controlled substance diazepam. Now, effective December 15th of 2000, petitioner then agreed to a 3-year probation term with the Board of Pharmacy. Then in 2018, the conduct for which the 2019 accusation was filed occurred. And at that time, petitioner and the then current PIC, not Dr. Denise, who is appearing here today, engaged in conduct that subverted a board investigation. The pharmacist in charge lied and misrepresented to the board that petitioner pharmacy had no relationship with a company called the DNET Institute. In fact, the DNET Institute and the DNET Pharmacy shared a common owner, Mr. DNET, who was the petitioner. And the DNET Institute is actually the sales office for the petitioner pharmacy. Additionally, petitioner's then PIC told board investigators that petitioner had surrendered its DEA registration because petitioner wanted to retire. In fact, petitioner had surrendered its DEA registration in lieu of the DEA issuing an order to show cause to petitioner regarding the violations of law governing the practice of pharmacy, and in particular, issues of shipping drugs into states where petitioner was not licensed. So in the accusation, petitioner had dispensed approximately 509 prescriptions into the state of Florida without being licensed as a non-resident pharmacy in Florida. Petitioner also dispensed controlled substances pursuant to prescriptions issued by a physician located in Arkansas to patients in California, knowing that the physician never performed an examination of the patients, never saw the patients, and was not licensed to practice medicine in California. So ultimately, petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement with the board for a 5-year probation period. That became effective on August 26th of 2020. Petitioner has been almost completely compliant with probation. Since the start of probation on August 26th of 2020, there have been 14 missed monthly reviews by the independent consultant. So this term of probation requires an independent consultant hired by the pharmacy to perform monthly reviews of pharmacy operations. Since that's August of 2020, it is now September of 2023. That's just a little bit over 1/3 of the monthly reviews that have been missed by this pharmacy. Now, petitioner has been compliant with this term since March of this year. But again, that's a lot of monthly reviews to have missed. Petitioner has, however, paid the costs in full in the amount of $10,592. Petitioner is compliant with filing quarterly reports and is compliant with paying probation monitoring costs. And all other terms and conditions, petitioner has been compliant throughout. Now, with the petition, petitioner also provided the following documents. Again, as a pharmacy, no continuing education is required and none was submitted, but petitioner did provide 5 letters of recommendation, all 5 of which were verified. Most of those were from patients who stated that they appreciate the pharmacy, they don't want it to shut down, and that the new PIC, presumably Dr. Denise, new since the discipline was imposed, is great and has been of great help to these patients. Additionally, petitioner has provided recent inspection reports and several of those consultant evaluations that did take place. Petitioner also provided a statement wherein the former PIC of the pharmacy was blamed for most of the pharmacy's failures that resulted in the accusation. This includes the false statements to the board inspector, as well as the fact that the pharmacy owner, Mr. DNET, had relied on that pharmacist's expertise, which he states he clearly should not have done. This is a reasonable perspective. However, it does show a little bit of a lack of taking responsibility for the pharmacy that he was the sole owner, CEO, and president. I will note that the board also placed the pharmacist on probation for 5 years at right around the same time, and he is still on probation at this time and no longer employed by the DNET pharmacy. So at this time, I would like to mark and move Exhibit 1 as the notice of hearing and the agreement for electronic recording.
Dr. Denise, do you have any objection to admission of Exhibit 1 for jurisdictional purposes?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 is admitted for jurisdictional purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then at this time, I'd like to identify, mark, and then move Exhibit 2, which is the petition packet consisting of all of the documents just identified, and also including a memorandum to the board from board staff and the underlying decision and order in this matter.
Dr. Denise, do you have any objection to admission of Exhibit 2 for all purposes?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then this concludes my presentation, and I will cede the floor to petitioner.
All right, Dr. Denise, this is your opportunity to make the case for the petition. Before you do so, I need to swear you in. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Could you please state and spell your name for the record?
It's Andrew Denise. The last name is spelled DE space N as in Nancy, IESE.
All right, thank you, Dr. Denise. I'll remind you again, the board has had the benefit of reading the petition packet, so this is your opportunity to highlight materials within that and otherwise explain why you believe the board should grant the petition. You may begin.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Honorable Judge and members of the board. We would first like to thank you for the opportunity to present this petition for early termination of probation on behalf of the DNA Pharmacy. The DNA Pharmacy acknowledges that the fact that these petitions are granted sparingly and that this is not any sort of entitlement or right to obtain an early termination of probation. In fact, we understand that these petitions are only granted when the petitioner can clearly establish that he or she has been fully rehabilitated. We acknowledge the board's mandate to public protection, where in the event that any interest is in conflict with the public protection shall prevail. So with that said, I'm here today to present to you a humble request for reprieve in light of the continuing mitigation and rehabilitation efforts that have been put forth and in place by the DNA Pharmacy after their infraction in August, the several infractions from the years preceding, in which they clearly departed from the standards of common pharmacy practice. And during the time that it was the previous PIC that was in charge. The charges that were assigned to us were conduct of an unprofessional nature. One being that the pharmacy was shipping prescriptions to patients in Florida without a non-resident Florida pharmacy license, and the others being unprofessional conduct appropriated by the previous PIC, being dishonest with the board about its relationships to another entity, and failing to deliver records in a timely fashion. The DNA Pharmacy takes full responsibility for the actions of its PIC and acknowledges that this was an extremely serious failure, and have taken great measures to rectify these failures, including not shipping prescriptions to Florida anymore and removing the said PIC that was in charge at that time for his unprofessional conduct. The pharmacist was our PIC for close to 15 years, and we acknowledge that he did not handle the situation appropriately or professionally. For the past 3 years, the DNA Pharmacy has thoroughly investigated the charges for which they were put on probation and has worked closely with the board and its special monthly consultant to audit and rectify any and all potential compliance problems. The DNA Pharmacy is fully aware that mere compliance with this probation is not in and of itself sufficient to grant this petition. Nevertheless, we would like to bring forth our efforts to rectify our failures to prove that we not only desire to be fully compliant, but with the changes that we have undergone, we believe that we have indeed proven, at least to our auditors, that we are compliant. They actually were the ones that recommended and encouraged us to seek early termination. And fulfilling the quarterly requirements of probation are more of an exercise at this point rather than a necessity. Other than the aforementioned steps that we've taken, we have also committed ourselves to compliance with the board's regulations through engaging in the latest annual online competency tests for all of our pharmacy staff, as well as staying abreast of all the Board of Pharmacy emails, updates, and guidelines, attending their webinar meetings whenever possible. That's all I have to say as an opening statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Denise. So we'll now go to Ms. Jarvis for her questions.
Yes, I have a question about actually one of the last statements that you just made, that the quarterly reports are more of an exercise at this point. What did you mean by that?
I meant that, we've been filling them out now for 3 years, and we've always put them on time and sent them in, and yeah, it just seems they're not even really. I mean, they're looking at it, but not as much as they used to, because they kind of trust that the information is correct in there.
And when you say they, who's not looking at it as closely as they used to?
The consultants and the consultant that comes in, and the board inspector.
And how do you know how closely the board inspector or the consultant are looking at your quarterly reports?
Well, because I watch them. I watch them when they're here.
Okay, but you also send your quarterly reports to your probation monitor, right?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
In regards to that consultant, you may have heard me state that your pharmacy has missed 14 of the quarterly reports over the last 3 years and 1 month. Can you explain why so many of the consultant reports were missed?
Yeah, sorry about that. So I just know what happened while I've been here for the last year. We had been trying to find a new consultant because our consultant couldn't come in anymore for a little while. And so that process took quite a bit of time. We talked to the board. We were in communication with the board the whole time and letting them know, hey, we put forth a candidate or two, I believe, and that candidate was not approved. And so sometimes that takes a little bit of time to kind of, for them to review. They have to call the consultant. They did not qualify. So I don't know if that was the case prior to, I've only been here for a year, but I can imagine that that's one of the reasons, trying to transition to new consultants. And we definitely reached out to the board to try to request a little bit of assistance in, finding a consultant that would qualify. And so, that's how I can explain, the time while I've been here personally.
So you've only been with the pharmacy for 1 year, so you don't have any personal knowledge of what occurred that led to the discipline in this matter.
Correct.
So why are you here presenting the petition today instead of the owner, Mr. Diné?
I'm the pharmacist in charge. I guess the option was for him to appear versus me. And, as the pharmacist in charge, I felt like it's my responsibility to speak up for the pharmacy. I'm more aware of all of the operations, the workflows, any of the regulation requirements and all that stuff. So, whereas he is not. So it's for him to answer for regulatory questions and workflow and policies and procedures, as he wouldn't know those answers. So felt like I was probably better qualified. Especially, I have investigated all of these prior offenses. I've done a lot of work at taking a look at what went wrong and what are some of the problems here in this pharmacy. And I've done a complete overhaul of almost all the operations here, just reviewing and making sure everything is up to USP 795 and in compliance with all the board's requests.
The entire time that you've been with the pharmacy, have you been the PIC?
No, for the first month, I was just a staff pharmacist.
So why did that change so quickly, I guess? So you were there for a month and then you became PIC?
Yeah, so the previous pharmacist just suddenly quit, so they needed to find someone right away. So I believe they have about 30 days to find a new PIC. And so they hired me as a staff. And obviously there was a lot of background noise associated with this pharmacy. So I wanted to do my due diligence before I officially signed up to be a PIC. I investigated thoroughly all of the incidents that you've spoken about. And I wanted to feel comfortable that, I'm not getting into a situation that's going to put my license in jeopardy. After thorough examination of all of the different factors, I decided that I would come on as PIC, and I do really I do really appreciate the service that this pharmacy provides to its patients.
Have you ever been a PIC at any other pharmacy?
Yes, I have.
What other
I've-
pharmacies can you?
Yeah, I've been a PIC since I was 26. So I was PIC of Ralph's Pharmacy when I was just starting out. I believe it was 27, sorry. And I did that for about 3-4 years. Then I went on to another private pharmacy, was PIC there. That was doing HIV specialty medication, HIV's private pharmacy, and now PIC here.
What was the name of the other pharmacy, the private pharmacy where you were PIC?
It was Beverly Hills Medical Plaza Pharmacy.
You mentioned that you have done a complete overhaul of the policies and procedures. What were some of the policies and procedures that you felt you had to overhaul to ensure that the conduct alleged in the accusation never recurred?
Well, I don't believe that the overhauls that I did was really related to that. It was just general, compounding pharmacy practice. I felt like there were some, procedures that weren't being conducted by the previous pharmacists in a appropriate manner or the way that I would do it. I like to err more on the side of caution, and I like to make sure everything's logged. So in terms of cleaning and stuff, they didn't really have a cleaning logs. The procedure for that wasn't up to date, I don't believe, and I just wanted to make sure everything was by the books. So those were just little fixes. They weren't major, but they were things that ensure that we have an extremely sterile environment here.
Were there any policies and procedures or other changes that you made to ensure that the pharmacy would not ship drugs into a state in which they're not licensed in the future?
I verified all of our licensures, and I always check all of our prescriptions to make sure that they're going to the states that we're licensed to.
And you do that personally?
Yes, I'm the pharmacist that does pretty much all the work here, so I check everything myself.
Do you also check each physician's license to ensure that the prescription is valid?
Yeah, I do.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Thank you, Dr. Denise. We're now going to go to the board if they have any questions.
All right, we'll start with Renee again. Renee.
Hi, this is Renee. Thanks for your presentation so far.
Thank you.
I just was curious just about the what is the pharmacy practice there? You said that you came in and kind of helped them with USP 795, but then you mentioned that you have a sterile environment. So I'm just wondering what are you, is it prescriptions? Is it compounded medications?
Yes, so it's non-sterile compounding. There's the sterile compounding guidelines, which are obviously more stringent than non-sterile, but in terms of cleaning and various different environments, I like to keep it as clean as possible over here. So I take some little tips and tricks from the sterile compounding to make sure that everything is from cleaning the floors, cleaning the walls, cleaning the various different units and the products that we use. So I just, it wasn't as clean as I like it. And basically just that. It was just going step by step through. I went through both USPs and compared, and whatever I thought was going to be best to keep the place the most sterile is what I kind of erred on.
Okay, thank you.
Trevor?
Yeah, could you touch again on the impetus for ending the early termination? Is this because there's something the pharmacy wishes to do that it can't do now? Is it because I thought I heard like this is a procedural step that the consultants just wanted to put out there, or is it more about clearing the record? What's the time sensitive nature of ending the probation early for the pharmacy?
I think we would like to end this because right now we have the consultant every month, and we have the board come in every 3 months, that's fine with me. I enjoy their visits, but to be frank, it's kind of like we're spending money for them to come, but like they're looking at the same things every month and they ask the same kind of questions, and the answer is always like, yep, that's done. Yep, okay. And so even to them, it seems like they're just coming for the routineness of the visit or the requirement rather than like of actual necessity, and which is why they have asked me and recommended that I file the petition. They don't want to waste any more of the doctor's money, the owner of the pharmacy's money, if there's really not really a need. But of course, if the petition is denied, we will continue, and that's fine. Like I said, I enjoy their visits, and I have a pretty good relationship with them both. So yeah, we would love that this was ended early so that we didn't have to have those.
Thank you.
All right, KK.
Can you hear me? Oh, hello, Dr. Denise. A couple of questions.
Hello.
It seemed like the role of the owners, at least what it sounded like, was pretty offhand, not a micromanaging one. And I also heard that a lot of things were attributed to the previous PIC. So what are the new management control systems that the owner has set in that gives him or her a continuous update on the pharmacy's operation? And is the regular visits set up for Mr. Savijian? Is that part of that management control system?
Yes, thanks for your question. The management controls is that the Dr. DNA is he calls almost every day to verify, hey, how's everything going? Make sure that, just kind of oversight, general oversight. But ultimately, it's a trust thing. And, obviously his trust was somewhat broken by the previous PIC. And we're not trying to say the previous PIC was a bad person or immoral character. Actually, he was a very religious man. I'm actually quite surprised at when I read the case, the dishonesty and whatnot. I'm not going to speculate on why he acted in that way. Perhaps it was fear or scare. He was very scared of the situation. But his management controls is he checks in and makes sure everything's okay, running smooth. And I tell him everything's running great. I'm really not the type of person to deviate. I'm very strict about the compliance and regulatory efforts, and he knows that. So he trusts me to, make sure that the pharmacy is up to regulation and compliance. The more trust he has, the less he needs to call, but he still does call.
Are you, just to follow up, are you required, are you as a routine cadence sending your quarterly Board of Pharmacy reports or a monthly consultant's report to the ownership?
We're required as a pharmacy to submit it to the board and to the inspector, so we do that. He has to sign it in ink. What is it? What's that thing called? The self-assessment, sorry. Drew a blank. He has to sign that in ink, so he does review it every single time and then sends it off. So yeah, he is well aware of what's going on, and but he leaves the regulatory compliance part to me, which is fair.
Thank you. No more questions.
Thank you, KK. Jake?
I just had one question. You mentioned you personally make sure everything that's shipped out is checked by you, not like a shipping clerk or a shipping technician?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one pharmacist here. There's another pharmacist that comes in, but he doesn't actually check any medications. He just helps with the compounding process. So yeah, I personally verify every prescription.
And what states can you not ship to right now?
We can only ship to California and New York. Those are the only ones we have licenses for.
Thank you.
Jake, Maria?
Thank you. Dr. Denise, maybe you can help me with the timing a little bit. You said that you'd been PIC for about a year.
Mhm.
So that means that the first maybe 6 or 7 months of your tenure, you were struggling getting monthly reports from a consultant. Is that correct? Is that the time period, about 6 or 7 months? Because
Yep.
about 5 months ago, it's been consistent. What was your personal experience trying to get a consultant during those few months?
It was difficult. It was difficult, and we also went through the whole process with the consultant over a few months, and then he just disappeared on us also, and the board, and it's kind of personal, but I chased him down finally after a few months of emailing him, and he was going to actually start, and then he told me that his father had died, and very unfortunate, and so he was just been out of it, and he hasn't been looking at his emails, and he's apologized for the delays, and I did tell the board I'm happy to make up those visits, and if there's any way I can do that, but and they did mention that it's okay. It's just start as soon as you find the new consultant, but these things do take time. We submitted another applicant. He didn't qualify. Then we finally tracked down our old consultant, and he was available again. So we're like, okay, thank God. So we got him in there.
That sounds like it was a really stressful time as a new PIC when
Yeah.
you realized you were not following the board's instructions.
Yeah, I was stressed. I was really stressed, and part of it was like, asking the owner like, hey, can you find it? But like, he's 80 years old, so he's not like the most abreast on like how to, source job applicants these days, So he was also a little bit having a difficulty and not quite knowing how to do it, and I started asking around, and yeah, in the end I tracked down our old consultant. I said, hey, let's just try to get him to come back. So yeah, it was stressful. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Maria. And we're going to Pasadena. Indira?
No questions.
Thank you. Jesse?
Thank you. I do have a few questions. The first one is just more of a timeline one. So you mentioned the old PIC was PIC for about 15 years. Is that right?
Yeah, approximately.
Okay. Do you know if that PIC was involved in the conviction of the owner in 1998?
Ooh. No, I don't. I don't. That was the circumstances of that, I actually was reading it. I didn't actually even know that was what was going on in that situation. Sounds like he was getting diazepam from out of country supplier or something.
When you took your position as a staff pharmacist, were you aware that the pharmacy was on probation?
Yes.
Why did you leave your previous pharmacy to work at this one?
I was actually working at a couple different pharmacies, another specialty pharmacy in Brentwood and another like regular retail pharmacy out in Santa Monica. I was just a staff pharmacist working, 1 or 2 days a week, maybe 3 days a week. But I don't know, I just really like this opportunity. This is way closer to my house. So yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer. I like those pharmacies, but this is a cool pharmacy too.
And then my last question is just in regards to the owner. How much say does the owner have in the operations? I know that you said in terms of like regulations and operations, you do have the majority of familiarity with that, which is why you're petitioning. Just wondering what sort of influence the owner has on the operations within the pharmacy.
Ultimately, he's obviously the owner. He pays staff and he takes care of the financial aspects, make sure everyone's paid on time. He, kind of takes oversight over the marketing efforts for the pharmacy. That's kind of what he mainly does these days. When it comes to anything that regarding prescriptions, or can we do this, or can we do that, or can we anything like that, he knows he has to come to me on that, and he asks me respectfully, and when I say no or yes, he respects that. He's very respectful of and he understands that pharmacy law is my specialty. He's going to handle the other stuff. I'm here to just run this pharmacy, make sure that we're following the rules here. That's it.
Okay, and just as a follow-up to that, I know one of the accusations was in regards to a website in which the PIC had denied that there was an affiliation with that website. So how familiar are you with all of the day-to-day marketing that the owner puts out with the pharmacy and making sure that something like that doesn't happen again?
So I understand that the DNA Institute is, how they get patients. They attract patients that way. I'm not super familiar with the exact methodology of how they go out and attract patients. The website, it seems like you can fill out some kind of questionnaire and decide if you're a candidate. We don't prescribe that many medications here. We only have 3 formulas or 4 formulas total that we dispense: an A formula, B formula, C formula, and D formula, and it's just a diet formulation. So yeah, the website is another way to attract patients, obviously, and typical, but that's about it as far as I know. That they do that. I'm sure they have a few girls that do outreach to try to attract patients. And yeah, that's the extent of what I know. I focus on the operations here in the pharmacy mostly.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
Just a quick question. So repeat again, why terminate probation early?
We don't want to waste anybody's time. If I'm getting the feeling that, by them, suggesting to us to petition for this, that they're also kind of feeling the same way, that it's not really serving much purpose or value. That's just the impression I'm getting from them. Otherwise, why would they suggest it? So, I mean, like I said, I'm happy to have chats with them when they come and visit and whatnot, and I like seeing them. But if they're suggesting it, it's probably maybe because they're not they don't feel like there's enough here to warrant such a restrictive situation. So
it's more of their ask versus your want
Oh, it's our want too. I mean, if we can get off probation, it does look very negative when, if I say tell someone I'm working at the DNA pharmacy and they do a quick Google search and they see that we're on probation. It looks bad on me. It looks bad on the owner. If any patients Google us, it looks bad. So it's definitely a strong want for us to just be off that so that it doesn't look so bad. But um, we have a lot of happy patients that we've been in business for 30 years. The patients really do appreciate the service. We're one of the few pharmacies in the US that can provide these formulas, these specially crafted formulas. And you know, um, you know, like it doesn't probably affect them as much, our loyal clientele versus new potential clientele. So, it's good to, if it's not necessary, it'd be great to not have that, and so that we can attract more new business and whatnot.
And so the recommendation was made by was it the consultant that was missing some of the appointments, or was it a different consultant?
Well, the consultant that has come back finally, he comes every month and he doesn't have a problem. I mean, he makes extra money doing it, but yeah, it was suggested by him and the inspector. They brought it to my attention. I didn't even really know that you can apply after 3 years, but they mentioned like, it's coming up on 3 years. So I looked into it and then I filled out the petition. So yeah, that's just kind of how it went down.
One final question. What was that beverage we were drinking, just out of curiosity?
Oh, it's a great creation. It's called Celsius Peach Vibe. It's
Okay.
really good. Really good. 10 calories, lots of vitamins, diamond, kinds of stuff. It's great.
No further questions from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Celsius is going to have to sponsor us now. I think that would be an interesting twist to this story. Next,
you guys
we'll
gotta
go to
try it.
Nicole.
Thank you. Funny, we were talking about sparkling water over here in Pasadena earlier, so it's like drinks are the theme of the day. Dr. Denise, thank you for being with us today. I wanted to ask about the 4 preparations for weight loss. I'm a little confused. Is that the only thing you dispense or the only thing that you compound?
That's the only thing that we dispense, the only thing we compound. It's a special formulation created by the doctor a very long time ago when he was young in France. And he's been doing it for many, many years. He's retired, but he's taught his formulations to select few doctors that are interested, and with no side effects, no complaints. Patients always come back when they need it. Say they have a wedding coming up, the results are quite amazing and dramatic, and we hear a lot of feedback from the patients saying, this, I don't feel jittery. I don't, because of the complex ingredients that are involved in it. From, it also helps a lot of various different conditions that they have, like constipation, premenstrual disorders, fatigue, and whatnot. Patients feel really good on this stuff. So yeah, I appreciate what we do here, and perhaps, feel that it's a lot safer than something like Ozempic. But that's a personal opinion. And that's the feedback I get from the patients,
Sure. So my question regarding that is, how does that work from a business model? Is that what the connection is to the Dianet Institute?
Yeah.
That's where the patients come from, and then
Yeah.
they come in and you all just do these special formulations.
Correct.
Got it.
We
Okay,
just
that makes
we
sense.
just we just get the e-scripts, and we do the regulatory part and the filling and dispensing.
I understand. That makes sense. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Nicole. I have quite a few questions, Dr. Denise. So first, just so I understand, PIC before you, who was that?
It was a lady named Sheila Nasri, I believe. She was
Okay.
PIC for a month or two, and then
And then who was it before that?
before that,
You may not know, but
I do know, but I've forgotten his name. Is his name Michael or something? Hold on, Hey, Lizette, who was the other who was the pharmacist before Sheila? Was it
So Dr.
Matt Kim?
Denise, generally when somebody testifies in a hearing, they cannot receive outside help in their
sorry.
answers. So if you don't know, it's perfectly acceptable to say that you don't know.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well, it's Matt Kim.
I
for
was
the
just trying to get the degree of how many PIC was from Dr. Shamuni, I believe, to
record. I
you.
believe it was 2.
Two, okay.
Yeah.
And then what kind of relationship would you say have with your owner? Like, do you have any ownership in this, or will you be entertaining any ownership in the future?
No, no
Okay.
ownership. Yeah, we have a good relationship. I think he's a good guy. He's seen a lot of patients in his career, in his life, and he's helped a lot of people.
And your owner is Dr. Marcel Denet, right?
Marcel DNA, yeah, he's a
And is
published
he
author.
actually a licensed medical doctor in the US?
No, he's a
Not
doctor in
licensed.
France, but he's a very published diet expert in France. He's written many books and done a lot of philanthropic efforts out in
But he
around the
does.
world.
Okay, but he does own this institution called DNet Institute,
Correct.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That specializes in weight loss.
Correct.
Okay. In your pharmacy, what % of business is regular prescription versus your compound special formula?
0%. Everything else, everything is the compound special formula.
Only pharmacy business you guys do is this compound formula.
Correct.
And how many employees would you say you guys have?
This
including yourself?
pharmacy only has one.
So it's just one and you have another employee.
Yeah, it's just me and a clerk.
Okay.
Oh, actually, sorry, 2. There's another pharmacist, staff pharmacist, but
Is
he's
that-
very part-time. He does like maybe 5-6 hours a week.
Okay. So you, Dr. Denise, actually makes these as well, these non-sterile compounds yourself?
Mhm.
Okay. How would you say your profitability in your business is with just doing these 4 formulas?
Well, it's all cash pay,
Okay.
and the doctor has been very serious about not increasing the price, even though inflation's gone out of control. He keeps his customers happy and hasn't increased any pricing in many years. So the profitability, while I don't know exactly what it is because he won't tell me, and I don't ask, I think it's disrespectful, but I would assume it's pretty decent,
Okay. You don't
but
have
pretty
you don't have
reasonable.
Okay. So you're able, this pharmacy is operating at a probably profit. Would you be able to guess?
I don't think so because it's you know, we've lost quite a few patients.
Okay.
You know, from the Ozempic craze and all that stuff. There's a lot of competition now for
Gotcha.
diet.
Weight loss.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your testimony. Good luck to you, Dr. Denise.
Thank you, President. I appreciate you.
All right, so I'll go to Ms. Jarvis if she has any additional questions.
I would like to follow up on something. Dr. Denise, can we clarify some of your personal timelines? So you had mentioned being PIC of Beverly Hills Medical Plaza Pharmacy, and I guess it's probably my own impression. I was thinking that you were that fairly recently, but in fact, that was actually over a decade ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Okay, so that was back in 2011 to 2012, approximately, that you were PIC there?
Yeah, it was 2011, 2012, I believe.
And then after 2012, you have not acted as PIC until becoming PIC here.
Correct.
So during that decade, did you just work as a staff pharmacist, like you were mentioning, the entire time, or did you also open your own pharmacy? What did you do?
During that time, I actually pursued a bunch of different entrepreneurial ventures. So opened up a nonprofit wellness center in downtown Los Angeles. We're offering chiropractic and acupuncture support groups, educational lectures once a month for patients living with HIV. So I launched that venture, and that went pretty well. And then that led to a lot of other different opportunities that, you know, just kept going one to the next. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And then I was a consultant for a long time. I've been a consultant. I'm still a consultant where I go and I teach doctors how to use their EMR systems, the Epic systems. So I travel all over the US working with doctors at top institutions, and I love to teach. So just teaching them how to do things faster and quicker. It's been a tough transition for many physicians. So I still do that from time to time, but you know, I miss the pharmacy. So that's why I started working part-time for a little while in multiple pharmacies. And then, you know, this opportunity, which is right next to my house, opened up, and I said, okay, this sounds like a good opportunity. So that's my timeline.
And then shortly after leaving Beverly Hills Medical Plaza Pharmacy, an accusation was filed against them and you in your license for a very short time of conduct. It looks like that you were PIC there.
Yeah, I was there for a year, and then I left.
Well, and the reason I say that, the conduct that occurred that for which the accusation was filed appears to have only been going on for a few days, really, that you were also PIC there. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate, actually. What had happened was the pharmacy owner did not take me off as the PIC, and was engaging in activity that was not correct. And I had not, I guess, in my rush to move on to another career, I didn't quite, you know, have the urgency to talk to the board myself. I trusted them to take me off appropriately, but they didn't. And so the board actually thought that I was the PIC during that time, and I got embroiled in a long kind of disciplinary action that eventually was completely withdrawn because I got an affidavit from the pharmacy owner. I showed them prescriptions with not my signature, the daily logs and whatnot to prove that I was not there. And yeah, that's an absolutely regrettable experience for sure.
Well, and just to clarify, you said it was ultimately withdrawn. It was withdrawn and then a citation was issued against you, correct?
Correct. There was a citation issued for the only thing that they, I guess, found that was, I guess I was guilty of during, while I was still the PIC, which was, I believe we got one big fax prescription in, and it was a transfer. And so the transfer is, the pharmacy law says you have to transpose to a prescription in writing those prescriptions. And so I couldn't say that I did that. I used the fax from the other pharmacy, and I signed that instead of rewriting all 12 prescriptions. And so I took responsibility for that.
And then back to DNA, how many states is the pharmacy licensed in?
2, California and New York.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Thank you. President O, do you want to check if there's any more questions from the board?
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions in Pasadena? I have one more question for you, Dr. Denise. So when you started working at the DNet pharmacy, did you have compounding experience? I'm not familiar with this Beverly Hills pharmacy, so I don't know if they did compounding or not, but.
Yeah, I did have, because I was working part-time at another pharmacy that did some non-sterile compounding.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
All right, Dr. Denise, this is the final part of your testimony. If there's anything else you would like to add to aid the board in coming to a decision, now is the time to add it.
I just want to thank everyone for their time, and I hope that our petition's granted. And you know, like I said, we have no, we're not doing anything. We've fixed all of our mistakes, our transgressions. We don't ship anything to Florida or any unlicensed states. that we're not states that we're not licensed in, and you know, the pharmacist made some mistakes. He was dishonest with the board, and we have shown exactly the opposite. I've been very transparent with the board in all of my communication, which is very clear, and you know, I enjoy my relationship with the board. We want to be compliant, so there's no way around that over here with me here, especially given, as we mentioned, the previous problems that I had because of the pharmacy owner, who was also a non-pharmacist owner, grandfathered in. You know, she wasn't following the pharmacy law exactly, and I got in trouble because of her inability to, you know, do the right thing. So obviously that is never going to happen again. I take responsibility for this place, and nothing is going to happen under my watch that is below board. It's going to be all above and to the T. So that's all I have to say, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Denise. So I'm now going to check with each of you if we're ready to submit. What that means is that I have all the testimony and exhibits that the board needs to hear, and it starts the deadline on a decision. So Ms. Jarvis, are we ready to submit?
Yes, submitted.
Thank you. Dr. Denise, are we ready to submit?
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, the record is closed and the matter is submitted for decision. We are off the record. So Dr. Denise, you're welcome to leave the WebEx. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Everyone take care.
Point
Nice
for
to meet
break.
everyone.
Thank you. We'll take a quick 5-minute break. We'll take 2:32. We'll come back at 2:32. Hello. How's Pasadena? I see you're all blank screen so far, so you might be enjoying that second cup of coffee there. Up there you are. Hello. Or might have gotten Celsius there if there's a all right, take a quick roll call. Renee.
Present.
Thank you. Trevor. Oh, it's okay. You can just leave when you need to go.
Here right now.
Thank you. KK's not back. Go to Jig.
Here.
Maria.
Here.
Thank you. And Indira.
Present.
Jesse.
Here.
Thank you. Jose.
Present.
Thank you. And Nicole.
Here.
Thank you. All righty. The quorum is here, Judge Wall. We're back.
Thank you, President O. So if I could get the petitioner and his counsel to come on camera and we can double check that your microphones are working before we start. Mr. Weinberg and Mr. Dr. Armanius, if you could come on camera. You might have to press a button at the bottom of your screen that will start the video. I see a green screen for Mr. Weinberg, which is a good sign, but we're going to need hopefully there we go. Mr. Weinberg, if you're able to communicate with your client and maybe text him to get him or her to turn on the camera, please.
Mr. Weinberg, you're currently muted. You'll want to click the microphone icon on your WebEx screen.
Now it says mute.
Okay, you're good to go. We can
yeah,
hear you.
Oh, it says mute, so I'm unmuted. I see. Okay.
But we do need your client as well, unless your
You have
client
no
has waived.
problem. Let me call, let me get some staff here to help.
Okay.
My client. I'm on, he can't seem to get this.
For the record, Member Chandler has to depart, so he's leaving for the purposes of minutes. I'm not sure if, are you taking notes, Anne? Oh, okay, Debbie. All right.
And my understanding is that we'll still have quorum.
Yes, we'll have quorum. Yes.
Important to get that on the record. Mr. Weinberg, just to confirm, you have someone contacting your client to get him on camera, is that correct? And now you're muted again, so I can't hear you.
He's sitting right next to me.
Oh, he's sitting next to you.
and
Okay.
Oh,
trying
why
to get
don't
on his camera.
Trying to activate.
Well, you guys could be on the camera together.
Yeah,
that-
why don't you just switch? What is this?
Okay. Okay, why don't you, why don't
Okay, you
you,
don't need to be on camera right now.
there you go.
There it
Okay.
is.
There you
Also, for the purposes of minutes, member Ja has joined. KK, if you could announce.
I'm here.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So we have the cameras working, have quorum of folks present. I'm going to take us on the record. We are here today before the Board of Pharmacy, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, in the matter of petition for early termination of Afifi Armenius, agency case number 6610, OAH case number 2023090126. This matter, we have a quorum of the board members present. My name is Jessica Wall. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to preside over this matter. May I please take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Yes, good afternoon. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I'm appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And we have Mr. Weinberg present with his client, and I forgot to ask you about your name pronunciation before we began. So Dr. Armenius, is that the correct pronunciation?
Afifi Armenius, yes,
Thank you. And do you prefer doctor or Mr.?
whatever.
Okay, I'm going to go with doctor. So Mr. Weinberg, if you could please state your appearance.
Yes, Herbert Weinberg. By the way, I'm a 60-year pharmacist, and represent Mr. Armenius in this proceeding and from the Fenton Law Group in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Weinberg. I want to remind everyone this hearing is being electronically recorded. Please take care to speak slowly, loudly, and clearly. Please also take care to speak one at a time, leaving a brief pause between every question and answer. Because Dr. Armenius is represented by counsel, I don't need to go through my more detailed instructions, and I'll go straight to Ms. Jarvis for a presentation of the petition packet.
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter arose via an accusation filed on August 20th, 2019. This was against petitioner's pharmacist license and his pharmacy license, where he was the owner and PIC. This is, in the essence, a billing fraud case. Petitioner compounded pain control creams using the powdered form of amantadine, baclofen, cyclobenzaprine, and diclofenac, yet billed an insurance company as though petitioner had used or purchased the tablet or capsule form of those ingredients and then compounded from them. The insurance company was able to substantiate and eventually claw back $219,649.25 due to this fraud. An audit showed that petitioner also had an overage of amantadine and cyclobenzaprine, which also indicates fraud, but at the very least shows a lack of record keeping for the acquisition and disposition of these dangerous drugs. Petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement with the board for a 5-year probation term, which became effective on November 25th, 2020. Petitioner has been almost completely compliant with probation. Petitioner failed to submit a quarterly report for the first quarter of 2022, but all other quarterly reports have been received. Petitioner is also ordered currently to make monthly payments to the board in the amount of $265. But the last payment received was on August 18th of 2022, more than a year ago, and the remaining outstanding balance to be paid is $6,590. This is a little more than half of the entire costs that were ordered in the decision and agreed to in the stipulation. The total amount was originally $12,500. Petitioner also was not in compliance with his remedial education order, but after receiving a non-compliance letter from board staff, he is now in compliance. Similarly, petitioner did not comply with taking the ethics course until he received a non-compliance letter from board staff, but he has now complied and completed that course. So despite several times that petitioner had to be reminded to comply with probation terms and conditions, the only currently outstanding issues are the cost recovery and then the failure to file the single quarterly report in 2022. With his petition, petitioner provided the following documents: 42 hours of continuing education, 5 letters of recommendation, all 5 of which were able to be verified. All of the letters except one appear to be from colleagues and coworkers who have seen petitioner's professional skills. And the 5th is from a patient who appreciates petitioner's knowledge and pharmaceutical skills. At this time, I would like to mark and move Exhibit 1 as the notice of hearing and the agreement for electronic recording.
Mr. Weinberg, any objection to admitting Exhibit 1 for jurisdictional purposes?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 is admitted for jurisdictional purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then at this time, I'd like to identify, mark, and move Exhibit 2 as the petition packet, including all of the documents I just identified, and also a memorandum to the board from board staff and the underlying decision in order.
Mr. Weinberg, any objection to admitting Exhibit 2 for all purposes?
No objection.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then that completes this presentation, and I will cede the floor to petitioner.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. So we'll go to Mr. Weinberg. Mr. Weinberg, would you like me to swear in your client now?
If you would, Your Honor, please.
Okay. Dr. Armenius, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide in today's hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. You may put your hand down. Mr. Weinberg, you're free to question your client. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So as not to bloat the transcript, the court's transcript with additional documents, we would normally have been submitting our packet, the petition packet, and so on. But I believe it all to be contained in the exhibits that were submitted by Ms. Jarvis. So we will not be submitting any documentation.
Mr.
We
Weinberg,
will-
before you continue, I just want to be clear. My understanding is that all the documents you submitted are within the petition packet Ms. Jarvis submitted. Is that your understanding as well?
That's my understanding.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, and what we will be submitting, however, after, because I don't know that there's any way to do it right now, is a canceled check for $726 and change. $726 exactly, which a payment in February of this year as well, which apparently was missed in the accounting that Deputy Attorney General Jarvis gave us.
So, Mr. Weinberg, I want to
Yeah.
stop you. I'm sorry to continually interrupt, but my understanding is generally at petition hearings, we cannot accept additional evidence after the hearing because the board deliberates after the hearing.
Understood. All right, that's fine. That's fine. It's of de minimis value at this point at any rate. It's not our purpose here this afternoon to retry this case, obviously. On the other hand, the case has been put at issue by Deputy Attorney General Jarvis and represented as a fraud case. What is at issue and what is a paramount issue is Mr. Armonius's character. And so we are going to, I'm going to, in questioning him, I'm going to be asking him about the issue of the central issue that was brought to the court's attention by Ms. Jarvis, just so he can explain how it came to be that he prepared these medications with the powder rather than the tablets as required by I believe it was Humana. And yeah, I believe it was Humana who was the PBM at the time. So now I'd like the court to hear from Mr. Armanius himself, and so I'll be eliciting some answers from him. Fifi?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How long have you been practicing pharmacy?
I practiced pharmacy since 1970, which is around 53 years old, 3 years. And I was graduated from the School of Pharmacy in 1975, which is around 48 years.
Okay.
Practicing pharmacy in different countries and different continent and in different pharmacies.
Thank you. And the accusation that has that led to your discipline by the Board of Pharmacy, including the probation that you now are requesting terminated, is that the only regulatory violation that you have been, the only formal discipline? Let's put it that way. Is there any discipline that you have been tagged with by any regulatory agency?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to just get right to the point of what it is that you did and why it is that you did it. You were receiving, were you not, prescriptions for topical analgesics? Is that correct?
Yes.
And these were compound
Yes.
prescriptions, right? And can you describe to the court what you received, what your experience was with those prescriptions, and why it came to be that you used the powder instead of the tablets?
Okay. It's a compounding cream for pain, and compounded with 6 ingredients, actually 7 ingredients. I can mention them very quickly. Amantadine 10%, baclofen 2%, diclofenac 2%, diclofenac 3%, gabapentin 6%, and lidocaine, which make this cream of 240 grams of cream. The reason that if we try to dispense them with using the tablets as it was recommended, or it cannot be done as a cream, because it's out of 24 to 240 grams of cream. I have to put 1,104 tablets, grind them, and make them in a cream, which practically can never be a cream. When I tried some of them, it make a very thick paste, which nobody cannot in the skin, because it's very hard. It's not a cream, and from pharmaceutical point of view, it cannot be absorbed from the skin because it's not a cream form, and the patient will not get any benefit from absorption of these active ingredients from the skin. It would be useless, and practically pharmaceutical cannot be dispensed. So I have to, or what I did the same active ingredients with exact recommended doses in a fine, easily to use cream, and for the patient was very happy with it and recommended it even for others, to ask the doctor to recommend them for the other people in the family. And they were very happy with that. It was very effective and very helpful. And then the other side that, I have to offer the service to my patients. And the tablet cannot be, tablet formulation cannot help in this case. This was the main reason behind, using powder instead of the tablets. And even, I explained this one time to one of Humana representative, and he personally told me, yes, I agree with you. That's not he told me, I used to work in compounding pharmacy, and I know they cannot make it with tablets. We have to use the powder.
Let me summarize, and you stop me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is 8 ounces of the cream, 240 grams of the cream were ordered.
Yes.
you used did you fill the prescription exactly as it was ordered?
Yes, for active ingredient wise, yeah.
But you used the pure ingredients, that is to say, the active ingredients, instead of grinding the tablets to make the compound, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. And is it your testimony that if you had used the tablets, first of all, it would not be pharmaceutically elegant, but it would be gritty, is that correct? And it would come in the form of a paste instead of a cream.
Yes, very thick paste, which is not usable to the skin.
And then in your professional opinion, it would not be absorbable,
At all,
the active
not
ingredient?
at all, yes.
Okay. All right, so now, Deputy Attorney General Jarvis stressed the word fraud. Was it your intention to defraud Humana? Let me finish my my question. To defraud Humana by doing this?
Not at all, not at all. I was helping my customer to get the correct and usable and helpful pharmaceutical outcome.
Now, you had an option, did you not? If you were forced to submit a claim using the tablets, which, as you've described, would not have made the cream usable, it was your option, was it not, to simply refuse to fill the prescription?
Yes, refuse every, And the other thing is that the tablet, it cannot be used, And some ingredients, one of the ingredients of 6 ingredients was just the cream, 5% lidocaine cream, which I used in addition to the other ingredients.
And how did it come that you spoke with a representative of Humana regarding your failure to do this?
It was, during a phone discussion, and I told him, he asked, first of all, I never denied that I'm using the powder, not the tablet. With Humana, with the Board of Pharmacy, with the inspector, I said that because, for my opinion, this pharmaceutical, for professional pharmaceutical judgment, it should be used in powder form. So one of them was discussing this with them, told me to use the tablet. I told him no, I'm using the powder because it cannot produce, the tablet cannot produce pharmaceutical elegant compounding. I said, yes, I agree with you. He told me, I used to work in compounding pharmacy and they are doing that. So that's what happened exactly.
Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to add, for over 48 years as a pharmacist, I'm offering my help and my support to my customer and to my patients. And this part of pharmacists, from family of pharmacists, this our job for years and decades and decades. So you have to help patient, and this was my main purpose of main goal, is to help my customers who came to me and not to turn them over for something I can help with.
Thank you.
Mr. Weinberg, are those all the questions you have for your client?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're going to go to Ms. Jarvis. Thank you.
So, Dr. Armanius, do you understand that the issue is not whether you use the powder or whether you use the tablet? The issue is that you billed for using the tablet, but you only purchased the powder.
I think the issue for me was to act as a pharmacist and give help with the patient and give the right medication to the right patient. And I did.
Right, but you could have billed Humana, the insurance company, the amount of the powder form that you actually used rather than the higher dollar amount of the tablet form that you did not use. Do you
Objection, Your Honor.
understand that that is the issue?
Objection, Your Honor. There's no foundation for that question. And in fact, Ms. Jarvis is mistaken.
So, Mr. Weinberg, I'm going to overrule the objection. Your client can answer the question.
Okay, two things for the compound. One of the ingredient was the cream, and there is like not a big difference in price between the powder and the tablet. And this was not my objective or my goal is to make more money, but rather than to give support to the patient.
Okay, and then.
For me, it looks like very logical. You cannot put these tablets in this cream and you produce a cream. So, and like, you know, in cases when you have to do the right thing, which offering them the right medication or helpful medication to a person, this, you know, this was my main focus, not the cost at all.
And did you in fact have to pay back this insurance company the $219,000 that I mentioned earlier?
Actually, what happened, I closed this pharmacy after that. Like,
I'm sorry, so you closed the pharmacy instead?
yeah,
So you never did pay that back?
no. Because by the way, this is the rule of insurance. They want the money, it doesn't cost, you know, they want the all money. But, you know, this products cost money and maybe a little bit less, but not huge difference. So why they want the whole money is another issue. And this was the reason, you know, I closed the whole pharmacy.
And then I have somebody looking for that canceled check that you mentioned. Can you provide me the actual date, or Mr. Weinberg mentioned?
If it can be shown, if we use this image, can be.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you.
February 1st.
It can be shown like that.
So, Dr. Amanius,
It
the
can you
board
see
is
that?
able to consider a visual that you provide on the screen as a document. In order to perceive it as a document, it needs to be sent as a document to Ms. Jarvis, who can send it to the board.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have a record of sending that to Ms. Jarvis in advance of the hearing?
No, I just, you know, I found this issue, yesterday when I was revising the notes. And when I checked my records, I saw there is this check paid on February 23 this year. And I didn't expect that it can be an issue because it shows that it has been cashed.
Yeah, so that's my question. Can you provide me the date that that check was cashed or at least written?
February 1st.
It was written February 1st, 23.
Okay, thank you. And I will do my best, Your Honor, to confirm that, and then we can stipulate to it, but I have to confirm it
And the
first.
check number is 2298.
So if your probation were to be terminated early, what would be your intention in regards to your pharmaceutical practice going forward?
I plan to continue practice pharmacy profession. For, you know, I have been there for almost more than 50 years. So I don't want, you know, to quit practicing right now.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite follow the end of that. So would you continue working?
don't have
Hold
any
on, hold
plan-
on.
I'm sorry.
Would you continue working at the same place you're currently working?
Yes, mostly yes.
Okay. Would you have any intention of opening a new pharmacy?
Right now, no, I don't know what the future is.
You're at the pharmacy where you're currently working, are you working full-time or part-time?
It's not 40 hours, but close to 40 hours a week.
And so do you believe that if your probation were to terminate, that you would continue working approximately the same number of hours you're currently working?
Yes, I know.
What is, I guess, the point? Why do you want your probation to be terminated early?
or first of all, I don't want my record to be shown that disciplinary action against me. I didn't mean to do anything wrong. Maybe it's some mistakes that can happen with somebody practicing in business for 40, 50 years. But I'm not planning, I don't like to have this disciplinary action. Also, I would like to practice pharmacy in full. Like now, I'm not allowed to own a pharmacy. I'm not allowed to supervise an intern or a technician. I am not allowed to be a PIC. I don't want to practice with this, restrictions in my practice. And this will give me better chance serve better and for the pharmacy professions that I worked for years and decades in my life.
Now, if your petition were not to be granted, then your probation would terminate in approximately 2 years and 2 months. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and Your Honor, I received an email stating that the check that was received in 2023 was for probation monitoring costs, not for the prosecution and investigation costs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
no payment has been received for prosecution or investigation costs in 2023.
That's
you.
right. That's right.
Thank
Was
you.
it-
Thank you for clarifying that.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. So we're now going to go to the board. to see if
Redirect,
they
Your
have any
Honor?
questions. Well, we're going to do the board before we do redirect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Renee, any comments, questions? Thank you, Renee. KK?
Sure, I have one question. I hope I pronounce your name correct, Mr. Arminius. Was there any issue with the pharmacy software that you used that prevented you from billing the ingredients that you used?
I am not sure about that. I cannot say for sure there was or not. But most probably yes, but I cannot assure that. Because, as the situation was that I know I'm not going to do that way, so because actually I'm not sure. Cannot say yes.
Okay,
Maybe
one more.
yes.
Go ahead, sorry. Okay, one more question. Were you offered any evidence that the cream made from the tablets or capsules as suggested by the payer, and I'm talking about third party, is actually a cream? In other words, you are asked to bill in a certain way. The end product, if you compound it in that way, was that a satisfactory cream? Was there any evidence given to you by the PBM?
No, as I told, I was told orally they know that it cannot be, and practically it cannot be a cream.
And that is your expert opinion with your 40, 50 years of experience, or is it something you independently verified with somebody else saying, I made this compound cream using the tablets, and then this is the resultant product, and that is not a cream? Was that your opinion, or did another independent expert came to that conclusion?
Mainly my opinion, and discussing this with my other compounding pharmacist friends and stuff, they agree with that 100%.
Okay, I apologize. What I heard is that was your opinion, but not an independently verified opinion.
And other peers, other compounding pharmacists. It's not only my opinion, but practically It's my opinion and my practice too. It's not like, you know, if I get you like, if I get a chance to get you a jar of 240 grams of cream cannot, pharmaceutical or a biologic, cannot contain 1,004 tablets branded in it. There's no way. And this is our opinion, all, you know, compounding pharmacists, I discussed this with them.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank
You, Jake?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake.
Yes, thank you. One question. One of the things that we look at as a board in determining early termination of probation is a sense of remorse or learning from the experience. So knowing what you know now, what would you do differently or not differently in a similar situation going forward?
In the same situation, I will do three things. First of all, I have to expose this matter to the board of pharmacy and check their opinion. I will explain this clearly to the payer or the third party, explaining them this cannot be done, and this not for the best interest of the client, of the patient. And then I'll get, you know, a final decision without exposing myself to any, you know, troubles or any disciplinary actions.
So the situation, I think, just to kind of repeat what the Deputy Attorney General said, was not the patient situation, but the documentation and the billing. So what would you do differently? You've come to the determination that that's not going to work. So I'm trying to really figure out is what would you do differently, or would you just do the same thing?
I'm thinking if I contact the board of pharmacy and the board of pharmacy, first of all, have the best interest of the patient before anything else. Secondly, they will tell me if I am following the rules, if I'm not following the rules, so I will not do it. If this was a recommendation of the law or the rules of the board of pharmacy.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Maria. All right, we're gonna go to Pasadena. Indira?
No questions.
Thank you, Indira. Jesse?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Jose.
Just one question, just for clarity. So you decided to close the pharmacy instead of paying what was due back to Humana, I believe. Is that correct? Did I hear correctly?
Let me explain this very clearly. First of all, Humana, after I do, you know, they called me once, honestly, once. They didn't discuss anything with me. And one of the people told me, he was the one who told me, I agree with you, compounding cannot be done that way. Then the Humana raised the board to the matter to the board. This is one thing. Second thing, Humana doesn't want to pay anything. According to your question, they said they paid this to, do you think this paid for done for nothing? Just, I don't know how much, it's 200,000, something like that. The patient already get the medication, and this already cost maybe very close to the amount. How do you expect me to pay them this? But you know, I stopped compounding. That's why the reason, you know, I don't like to continue this pharmacy with this problem, with disciplinary action, and with like, you know, me like accused for something wrong. I didn't feel, by the way, I do something that bad. I don't deserve it. I know this was some certain type of mistake, but there's no such thing that is, you know, deserve that should cost me all of that. So that's why, you know, as long as I'm not do compounding, so that's, I said, I just, you know, stop this pharmacy and it works somewhere else. So That's why, but there's nothing to do with the payment or with Humana or money at all. I didn't, this was not my main, otherwise I wouldn't close my pharmacy. It is the money. And as I told you, Humana didn't discuss with me. They didn't come to talk with me regarding that. How much did they, if they feel they overbilled them, they didn't say how much they overbilled them. And, but unfortunately, I don't know, everybody practicing pharmacy now knows that the PBM just want to get the money back, they don't want to pay, and they consider that the patient take all the, even more the benefit expected from the prescription by getting the medication. So I don't know regarding what Humana would respond, or if never, they never discussed this with me.
No further questions.
Thank you, Jose Nicole.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. And I don't have any questions, so it's back to you, Your Honor.
All right, so we've now finished with cross. So Mr. Weinberg, you may have your redirect with your client.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Abanias, to your knowledge, does Humana pay for the pure ingredients that were required in this compound?
No, for most of them, no. Out of 6 components, they can pay for one of them or not.
So you were faced, were you not, with 3 decisions. One, you could fill the prescription with the tablets, which were over 1,000 tablets, which you have testified would end up with an unusable mass of putty, if I could put it that way. The second would be to use the powder, the pure powder, which Humana would not pay for. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, okay, because to my knowledge and to yours, Humana does not cover, nor do any of the PBMs for that matter, cover the pure ingredients. And the third would be not to fill the prescription at all.
By the way, this was not the case. They changed the rules in the middle of the game.
Did they?
Which I mean, yeah, they used to pay for the powder, but then they stopped doing it.
Ah,
Most of them.
okay, I see.
And they changed the rule for the benefits and to save money or to, but not for the best interest of the patient.
Okay. I have nothing further. Your Honor, might I be permitted when, before the closing to make a closing statement on this and also to ask the indulgence of the court to take judicial notice of certain code sections?
So Mr. Weinberg, I'll allow you to do a brief closing after we see if there's any recross, but I'm not sure what code sections you think will need judicial notice of. You're welcome to mention them.
Surely.
Because I will consider, the board will consider all applicable code sections in reaching a determination on the petition.
Okay.
So I'm gonna first check. Ms. Jarvis, any recross?
No, thank you.
President O, does the board have any additional?
Any members? Please raise your hand in Pasadena virtually. No? All right.
I see one from Dr. Crowley.
Sorry. I was a little confused because before I wasn't sure if you were aware how to bill the insurance for the bulk ingredients, but I just want to clarify that you did mention that Humana used to pay for the bulk form of these medications, but the reason why you didn't bill them is because they only paid for the tablet form. Is that correct?
Actually, to be very clear, I'm talking about BPM, which is the insurance companies, because I was dealing with different companies. But some of them, you know, they were paying for the whole. I'm not 100% sure about Humana, and I think Humana was one of them. They used to pay for the powder ingredients, but they stopped it, you know, in some time. And now, and even after if they went further and stopped completely paying for any compound.
Okay, so you were aware at least of how to bill Humana for the bulk ingredients in theory if they would have paid for it, correct?
Say it again, I'm sorry, because I have like echo.
Sorry, I know there's a lot of echo here. I just want to clarify, you are knowledgeable with how to bill Humana for bulk ingredients for compounds if they pay for it, correct?
If they allow it, it's allowed to accept it.
Okay.
But as I'm telling you, I'm not sure specifically about Humana, but I know about different insurances.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
All right, I'll check with Mr. Weinberg if he has any additional redirect after that.
No, I have no redirect, Your Honor. I just simply like to call a couple of things for the court to take judicial notice of.
Okay, so Mr. Weinberg, is this your closing?
Yes, this will be my closing, and it's only going to take a minute.
Okay, you may
All right.
begin.
Business and Professions Code 733 says that a pharmacist shall not obstruct a patient, I'm paraphrasing, shall not obstruct a patient from receiving a validly ordered prescription, and to do so would subject that pharmacist to disciplinary action by his or her licensing agency. So had Mr. Armonius decided not to fill the prescriptions for the patient because the way he knew he had to fill it with the tablet, and he knew it wasn't going to be pharmaceutically efficient, he would have been in violation of 733. That's a bet, because the prescription was valid. Second, I call your attention to the fact that he did fill all the prescriptions, and as a result of having filled all of the prescriptions, under the legal rubric of quantum meruit, he was entitled to the value of his services. He bought ingredients, he compounded the prescriptions, he took care of the patients that were Humana members. He was entitled to something, not to nothing. And just like to leave you with those thoughts. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Weinberg, is that all for your closing?
I'm done.
All right, so I'm going to check with everyone if we are ready to submit. Ms. Jarvis?
Submitted, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberg, are we ready to submit?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. At this time, the record is closed and the matter is submitted for decision. We are off the record. Thank you, Mr. Weinberg and Dr. Armanius. You're welcome to leave the WebEx.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to we're ready to move on to the next agenda, item 10, closed session. Like to thank everyone participating today and all the public for your participation. As indicated on the agenda, the board will now convene in closed session. Adjournment for the day will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed. Adjournment may not be broadcast. Members of the public, thank you for joining the meeting today. We'll begin closed session in 10 minutes at 3:29. I believe Pasadena has to take care of some business down there. Hopefully y'all will be okay. So everyone take a 10-minute break and we'll be back. I believe, Jose, you might have to leave, but okay.
Yes, President O.
Bye, Jose. Thank you for your participation.
No problem.
All right, this is the moderator. While the board is on break, I'm going to go ahead and move them into the private room.
Right now, the practice session. Yeah.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Is that all I need to do, Corinne? We're back in public session.
Yeah.
The meeting.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all.
I'm gonna end the webinar for all, Debbie.